Wake Up Tucson with Joe Higgins and Christy Simone on 1030 KVOI, The Voice.
All righty, 6:36 in the morning. We're with Dr. Adi Halili.
Did someone guess why we're playing all these songs?
John did.
All right.
John called in.
And what's the theme?
Found some losers. And so he's got the, I got his address to send him a certificate for
haircut.
Yeah.
There you go. Good job, John.
That's not in honor of the president, is it?
That would be the debate.
Oh,
We
it's
got a
sad.
loser theme this morning. That's how it works.
Well, Dr. Halili, welcome back to the show. You were in the middle of telling us about how, as a guy, his family is trying to build a house out on the west side, how the Tucson Mountain Association and Pima County Representative Ms. Bronson and possibly Mr. Huckelberry kind of interfered unfairly with your trying to build a house out on the west side.
Yeah, and you know, the core of the complaint was happened after, over the next couple of years, there was repeated attempts by Tucson Mountain Association through Sharon Bronson's office, sending a bunch of complaints, and then the inspector goes to the site and find nothing and kept going. And we were basically done with the house, and they, I guess, panicked, and that's where they made the biggest mistake. So so that happened in the weekend. On the Saturday morning, I'm finishing up some landscaping. I get a call from one of the department heads in the weekend, mind you. It said, I heard you guys are tearing up all the bull crap that they were putting all this time. So I need to come in and shut you down. In the Saturday, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the guy shows up. He already has a stop work order in his hand. I mean, that can be proper procedure. I mean, you're supposed to inspect the site, first of all. So he comes in, he sees nothing. He calls to the head of development services and said, I don't see anything. Why should I shut him down? And the guy, no, I have to shut him down. Long story short, more attorney fees. We got the work restarted, but that delayed things for another year almost.
Oh. And meanwhile, you have construction loans, bank loans, all those kind of things.
They just trying to break me down, and now they haven't, because we actually moved into the house. We basically were ready to file a suit based on 11-1604, which is basically that said that you can't deny permit unless something is stated in the law.
Dr. Halili, when did you first buy the piece of dirt?
I believe we bought the property around 2007.
2007, and when did you want to start building?
We started construction in 2008, and then, so...
And you moved in it when?
We moved in about 7 weeks ago.
So this all has to do, folks, let me recap this a little bit. It has to do with Dr. Lee bought a piece of property in the Tucson Mountain Estates. Some neighbors didn't want it to happen. They tried to block access to an easement road to get to his property, so he worked around that. Had to go through design review boards, and then folks jumped from the audience onto the committee to design review to slow down the track that way. Continued to press and push through and knew the rules and law and kind of worked his way through it. And had inspectors show up and try to shut him down. Just a complete full court press from every level of Pima County government to stop the construction of his project. Took him 4.5 years to get open, and you are now moved in the home, and we congratulate you for that. So was there any, what's the base of the complaint? I know there's some freedom of information requests. And
the base of the complaint is that you can't shut somebody down in a weekend without any merit. And it wasn't even the regular inspector. It was one of the department heads, because the regular inspectors keep finding nothing.
Right.
And more serious than that is that when we put the public information request and we asked for all the documents in native forms, we discovered that some of the documents that outlining this event, the emails between Bronson and Huckelberry, there was a couple of versions of them because we asked for different sources that were actually altered.
That's where you get the Attorney General involved.
Yeah, and you cannot alter, and that does show that the people are trying to hide. And the thing about the digital document, you can see who altered it and when and for how long.
On January 4th, 2011, according to your complaint, user number U101762 altered documents that you did a freedom of information request for.
So that's up to the Attorney General to determine. I just think that this needs to be up in public, so those things doesn't happen again.
I got to tell you, Dr. Halili, you're not the only story we've heard of. In fact, this happens a lot more than it needs to. One of the gals that's running, Allie Miller, for Pima County Board of Supervisor, District 1, had a very, very similar thing happen to her. She's coming on at the 7 o'clock hour, and that prompted her to get involved in politics and actually want to change the way they do business in Pima County. So you're not alone.
Wish her luck, yeah.
Yeah.
790-2040 is the phone number. Let's go to the phones real quick. We got Barney on line 2. Barney, you're on with Chris Joe and Dr. Halili. What's going on, Barney?
Good morning, guys. Glad to hear this coming out. I don't think the words have been used, but this is clearly an illegal abuse of power by Sharon, Bronson. Joe, you mentioned other people. We had heard back when I ran in 2000 in the Kuwait, not only individuals coming forth, but county employees who know what's going on, try to say, hey, I just want you to be aware of this, but they're afraid to come forward at these for fear of their jobs or retaliation or whatever. So I consider Dr. Halili for stepping up and making this public. It needs to be aired. And a quick word about the Tucson Mountain Estates. When I lived out there in the 70s, when I first joined there in the 70s, I moved in Tucson Mountain in 1980. Very good group by local home owners.
Yep.
And it has morphed ever since into a heavy-handed association that just are the literal NIMBYs. I live here. We're going to stop you from doing it, and that needs to stop. And the only reason they can get away with this abuse of power is they're abetted by people in government who need to be voted out.
Very, very good point, Barney. Thank you.
I'm done. Good to see you guys. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Barney.
So we did lose Dr. Halili, his connection, so he didn't catch the tail end of that. But, Chris, what we try to keep painting this picture of, when you selectively enforce laws and rules, and folks like this, whether it's a little guy like Dr. Halili trying to build his dream home, or a Dallas Firefighter Fund, or a Rosemont copper mine, when you start changing the game board to fit the political whims of who's complaining and who's contributing, and look at the rural metro conversation that we had about Green Valley annexation down in Green Valley.
Excuse me.
They've gone beyond the abuse of power. So you're having a point where the rules are there, so the private market is going to invest capital in your marketplace, and you change the rules midstream to bleed them and to drain them and to make sure they never do anything.
This is why
it's the reputation that sets out there for this rest of the country.
This is why when you hear from the Sharon and the crew about how, this doesn't happen. Oh, we're very friendly towards. It's so disingenuous, guys. We keep seeing the story. We keep seeing the pattern. That's why, when we talk about Trio's a joke because they basically take their money to basically be a shill for the county. All right, this is the perfect example of it. Right. This pattern. All right, pay up or bleed, or we're going to bleed you, basically, right. Or we can just shut you down any way we want.
Right.
Even though it violates one of the basics of being an American, which is your private property rights.
Property rights. That's what this is about. You own a piece of property. You bought it. You know the rights, and you start moving.
Yep.
And then the weight of the world and the bureaucracy comes down on you. Little guys can't handle that, and that's the big point.
So Dr. Halili buys this piece of dirt in 7, starts the process in 8, and only moved into the house in August.
Right. Think of the cost to him and their family.
That's 4 years.
Yep.
4 years. We got people that have been in development on Pima County on some commercial parcels, on commercial intersections for 8 years.
Yep.
So when people say, well, geez, why is it, we're not unfriendly in Pima County. Of course you're unfriendly. This is the perfect example of it. This isn't some big swath with shovel-nosed snakes' nests and all that junk that you guys keep coming up with. Here's a guy building a house next to other houses that have been there before him. 4 years of shenanigans and games to get. That's why election day. That's why Sharon Bronson is like an old pair of socks. It smells. It's got holes in it. It's time to throw them away and get a new pair of socks.
The world is a competitive place. America is a competitive place, and people have a lot of choices where they go anymore, and they're going to start skipping us over. They're already doing it. Hey, if I got a couple texts, people want to get a hold of Dr. Halili, send an email to wakeuptucson@gmail.com.
Yeah.
I will forward and put you in contact contact with Dr. Halili if you want to hear his story a little more. Appreciate him coming on. It is a story that has to get out. That's why when it hit my radar, I thought, let's come on and talk about it and let the world see it.
And he has officially filed the complaint with the Attorney General's office against Sharon, Bronson, and crew.
Yep.
About this process.
Yep. And doctored documents and freedom of information requests, those are all things that are a part of the facts. Finding of facts will come out. Hey, folks, it's 6:46 in the a.m. Let's get back, debate talk a little bit, brother. Let's wrap it up. We touched a little early, but we got to get into this. Who won, who lost, why'd they win, why'd they lose, what are the zingers that you picked out on? And I got a little Jeff Flake story I want to talk
So we got debate talk, of course. At top of the hour, we got Allie Miller. Bottom of the hour, next up the power hour, Captain Chaos. And we're going to talk about Prop 409. The city wants more of your money, even though they flushed the rest of it down the toilet. And sad to say, the Tucson Chamber of Commerce dropped another crap pile on the thing. They blew this one too. Sad to say. 790-2040. Wake up, Tucson. 10:30. The Voice.
Liberty, and Mike Huckelberry. Live Monday through Friday, 10 till noon. Here on 1030 KVOI, Tucson's intelligent voice.
And I thank my opponent for complimenting me on the Sonora Desert Conservation Plan. There was a critical vote on that. But I think more importantly, we've seen this board of supervisors, move us from the divisive politics of the previous Republican-controlled board to a paradigm where there's collaboration and there is consensus. And I think we need to continue that. We've got some momentum, and we need to continue that momentum. We've done the conservation plan as we look at what we're doing with wastewater, but we don't have control of potable water.